Hello, and thanks for joining us for Work Smarter, Not Harder. Let eChannel lighten your load. I am Ashley Hoath-Murray, and I'm presenting on behalf of Contact North. Just so you're aware, this webinar was presented live 5 times from November 2025 to January 2026. So you may have caught this live before, but we decided that we wanted to record it so anyone that couldn't make it was able to have access. Because today I'm going to introduce you to a really cool new tool called eChannel 101. It is currently in its pilot phase, but it will be accessible in early 2026-27 fiscal year. I'm also going to give you some tools that you could use today because that's really important to me that you walk away ready to use and ready to jump in with eChannel and blended learning. And there is a copy of this PowerPoint available, I believe, where you're watching this video. So if you need access, you'll have it so that you don't need to take notes. So let's take a look at how eChannel can lighten your load, how it can reduce duplication, and how it can help more learners and more practitioners succeed. So I just want to start. I always start with a land acknowledgement and shared responsibility when I do presentations. And I want to acknowledge that I live and work on the lands of the Anishinaabeg and the Huron-Wendat peoples within the Robinson-Huron Treaty Area in Seguin, Ontario. So I am just south of Parry Sound. At the time that I'm recording this, there is a lot of snow outside, and I always like to connect with the weather when I think about how I connect to the land. So right now it is a time of stillness and rest and rejuvenation, but maybe you're watching this at another time of year. So take a moment, reflect wherever you are on the land beneath your feet and maybe the weather outside your window. Think about the stories and the stewardship that shaped this land, and acknowledging land. It's not a script, but it is a reminder that learning and connection, they do happen within relationships. So to learning, to community, and to each other. So just a little bit about me. I am Ashley Hoath-Murray, or Ash Hoath-Murray, and I am a consultant and adult learning specialist. I have been in the adult literacy world and the adult education world for 19 years this year, which seems like it's actually flown by. I am the former co-executive director of Literacy Link Niagara. I started with them in 2007, and I started doing projects, and I worked my way up through the organization, ending with sharing the head role. So that gave me a lot of hats to wear when you work for a small community organization, as many of you probably do. And I have done everything from assessment to curriculum development, project management, event planning, you name it, I've probably done it, marketing. And it gave me a really good grounding for what people are experiencing in adult learning and adult literacy programs across the province. Because I shared the role, I was also able to work with other organizations, many other adult literacy programs and adult literacy networks. And I've also worked with a lot of broader not-for-profits in Ontario and actually across Canada, which is really cool. Again, wearing many hats as you have to do in not-for-profit. So I'm also very lucky that I worked on a few Contact North and eChannel initiatives over the last few years. So I bring that, and you'll hear me talk about that during the presentation. And I get that it feels very complex on the front line when we start to talk about blended learning. I have heard it from you, and I have seen it in the field. So today we're going to make all of it very practical, very human. I'm going to try not to use acronyms as much as I can, and we're going to reduce some of the overwhelm. I'm going to skip this next slide because we're not live, but I am going to move to this slide because I asked this question when I was delivering the 5 sessions. And I think it's important, even if you're just reflecting to yourself right now. So when you hear e-channel, what comes to mind? And I'll tell you that we got a lot of online learning. That I think was the number one answer, online learning. But we got some things like um, a little bit of confusion, unsure what they do, um, not sure how they would fit into my program. So it's important that if you feel those things, if you have confusion, that's being echoed in other parts of the province as well. So we are going to hopefully clear up some of that confusion with this new project and with this presentation today. So today's journey, we are going to go through what we heard when we went to the field and said, where do you need support when it comes to e-channel and online learning? We're going to talk specifically about how this new piece, eChannel 101, can help you. And it's important to note, eChannel 101 is a tool for practitioners. It is not a tool that's that's directly offered to learners. So practitioners use the tool to be able to better support learners in blended learning. We're going to do a spotlight on some tools that you could walk away and use today, do a little bit of quick myth busting and some quick wins, how you can take action. Again, that tangible piece, what could you walk away with? And if we were live, we would do question and answer. But I just want you to know you can reach out to eChannel or an eChannel provider at any time with questions, and they will get you the answers. So when we went to the field, what did we hear? Across the province of Ontario, the same themes, they just kept coming up. And I'll let you know that there's been a few projects over the last few years. So not just in preparation for this new tool, but there's been a few projects where eChannel has gone out to the field and said, hey, what do you need from us? And they've done a lot of listening so that they can be more reflective in how they connect with the field. So some of what we heard, I don't fully understand eChannel. There's the confusion piece. Registration is confusing, and sometimes maybe it duplicates what you're doing. Learners need more technical support, maybe more support than you can offer, your staff can offer. And also the capacity issues. I don't have time to figure it out, right? You've got a lot of balls in the air in adult learning, and maybe blended learning is just not a piece that you feel that you have time for. So from confusion to clarity. So again, we've heard it's confusing. Who does what? Where's my role? Where's the role of an e-channel provider? Who is Contact North? We've heard it overlaps with what we already offer. So one theme that we hear is people think often that it could be competition or they're not sure if it's competition. And we'll clear that up today. We also hear some concerns about learners getting lost in the system. Is the handover to eChannel, is that a gap? Is there a crack that a learner may fall through? And we'll also clear up how we can get rid of those gaps and cracks so that we're able to support learners. Whoops, I've gone all the way to the end. Sorry about that. So what eChannel practitioners told us that they needed. When we summed it up, when we reflected on everything, these are the key messages that we thought we were hearing. They need clarity on what eChannel is. What do they do? Who are they? They wanted practical tools. They wanted things that they could print off, download, have a quick link to, not have to recreate anything, so that they could support blended learning. And they wanted simple ways to work together. They wanted quick responses to questions so that they knew the kind of the procedures to support a learner to complete blended learning. They said, make it simple, save us time. So this piece is actually in the eChannel 101. Uh, um, it's actually in the modules. But I think it's really important that if you're someone who came and may have some confusion about eChannel, before we dive into the what the modules actually look like, I thought we'd start here. So what is eChannel? eChannel is Canada's online literacy and basic skills system. This should actually read now Ontario's online GET skills education and training or GET set system. It is a complement to face-to-face learning. So it's not there. It was not created to compete with in-class programs. There are 5 funded providers that are e-channel providers. And Contact North is kind of the larger organization, the umbrella organization that connects the dots. So e-channel is one program underneath the Contact North umbrella. So sometimes you might think that they're kind of interchangeable. They're not. So Contact North is the overarching umbrella, and eChannel is one piece that exists underneath. What eChannel is not. It's not a competing program. Again, it's there to complement. It's not a one size fits all. Just like your program, where you can be flexible and responsive to the needs of those that come into your program, really kind of tailoring to the client sitting in front of you, eChannel can do that as well. And it's not just for techie learners. eChannel is there to support learners to be able to kind of first get the steps to access the programs and then continue through the software. And it might also want to read not just for techie practitioners. So if you're a practitioner that maybe feels a little uncomfortable with tech, don't think that that's a reason that you don't engage with blended learning. You have the support of e-channel providers to be able to talk to your learners about how to get on and how to access and how to move forward. So I think it's really important that we honor that there are practitioners that maybe feel that they don't have the skills to support blended learning, but e-channel is actually there to support you as well. So let's talk about this new piece. What if eChannel could actually make your day easier? What if referrals were seamless? What if practitioners had more digital confidence? That's exactly what this new course was designed to do. So it's 4 modules, and over the course of those modules, you get clarity, confidence, and capacity. That's what we heard from you. That's what you said that you wanted from eChannel. So I'm going to walk you through some of the outcomes of each module so that you can see how it connects with your day-to-day work. So eChannel 101 was built from, as I've already said, it's grounded in field feedback. eChannel listened and then they responded. So it really is grounded in the field. With that, there was a goal to pilot with 10 programs. And when we open the opportunity to pilot, you're always worried that you might not get the numbers. We actually got an overwhelming response, and there are 23 programs that reached out to participate in the pilot. We've seen very positive responses from the course, and it just means that what you asked for, we were able to provide. So that's awesome. It is modular and self-paced. This for me is the key piece. I'm going to show it to you in a minute, but it really is a choose what you use and leave the rest. It's not, I have to start at the beginning and go all the way through, and hopefully my answer is somewhere in between. It's set up in a way that you can actually quickly scan a table of contents, click on it, find the information you need. It's focused on real problems. So it also has a lot of case studies involved in it. It shows how different programs have used e-channel to support some areas where they needed stronger capacity. And it's built by Contact North and with the input of all five e-channel providers. The conversation matters because e-channel and blended learning, it can save you time. It can also save your learners time. It reduces duplication, so it's able to fit where you need it to fit. So it doesn't necessarily have to teach a course that you're already teaching, even if it's in the library. It's about filling gaps and holes. It can expand your capacity. So if you have a learner that's interested in something that you don't have the capacity to teach, you can support them through blended learning. And that really does support success because you can tailor to the needs of your learner, and you can also tailor to the needs of practitioners. So again, this comes down to this choose how you use, what I was talking about. So this is a screenshot of the course, and I love this because down the left-hand side is really a table of contents where you could say, hey, I know what each channel is. I don't need to start there, but I want specific information on Good Learning Anywhere. Click it. There's your answer. So as much as we refer to it as a course, I kind of like to refer to it as a guide because it's there for you to, to look through, to pick the page you need and just take what you need and leave the rest. So let's talk specifically about Module 1. Module 1 is really about clarity. It talks about what each channel actually is. So like that slide I showed you a few slides ago. And just as important, what it is not. This module answers those common questions. Who runs each channel? What does Contact North do? How do I explain it to my learners without getting lost in acronyms or tech speak? And once you go through this section, you'll finally be able to explain e-channel in a few sentences very confidently. It's really the foundation for everything else in the course. And yeah, so to sum it up, the benefit is you have the confidence to explain e-channel to those around you, like colleagues and learners. Let's take a look. So this is a snapshot. So just imagine you would have that table of contents down the side, but I didn't want to snapshot that for every slide. So here it is. It's laid out very cleanly. There's a lot of white space. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It's very scannable. You'll find a lot of pictures and icons. Not on this page, but there are a lot of clickable links in it. And so it's very, very clean guide to be able to find the answers that you need. It also includes this piece, which I'm actually going to walk through with you because it provides some clarity around e-channel. So e-channel is made up of 5 organizations. We're going to talk about them in a minute. It serves 7,000 plus learners each year across the province, which is amazing. And a lot of those learners are in-class programs as well. It has a library of over 500 courses, and these courses are designed to be specifically delivered online. In e-channel, there's over 700 years of experience, of practitioner experience, combined in developing as well as delivering online courses. And online courses may be delivered asynchronously or synchronously. There's a lot of different delivery methods from different providers and within different providers. There are 5 goal paths, as we know, in Get Set, and blended learning and e-channel serve all 5 of those goal paths. So here is the breakdown with employment being the #1 goal path that people using e-channel are aiming for. But you can see that all of the other pieces are also included. When we look at our providers, we can start with ACE Distance. ACE Distance is a grade 12 equivalency for those that are looking usually for post-secondary admission. So often they're using it for college programs, but also apprenticeship and even employment some people choose to go and use ACE to be able to get their certificate to be able to put that on their resume for employment. We have Deaf Learn Now. Really cool. It is the first fully online literacy program for deaf and hard of hearing adults in the world. Wow, I think that's pretty cool. It is delivered out of George Brown, and it's an awesome and very reflective program. We have Formation à Distance, which is our Francophone program, and it has micro courses that are very tailored and flexible to be able to serve those that are French speaking. We have a Good Learning Anywhere, which is our Indigenous program, very culturally supportive, very reflective of Indigenous values. And important to point out that you do not have to be Indigenous to be able to connect with Good Learning Anywhere. There are a lot of opportunities there. So if you're looking for a specific course and you can't find it somewhere else, they're a good group to connect with. And then we have the Learning Hub. This is our Anglophone program, and they have a very large library of services that they can and courses that they can offer you. So the lovely thing about eChannel is that it really does have a lot of opportunity for a lot of diverse goal paths. And it really can meet the learner where they are in many, many different ways. All right, so let's just do a snapshot of how it all fits together. You'll find something like this in the course, but I created this graphic so that I could fit it all together. So we do have Contact North, our umbrella organization that bridges learners and practitioners, and that is beyond eChannel. Then under Contact North, we have our eChannel providers. So these are those 5 providers that are delivering online courses. We have you. Oh, this needs to be updated as well. Our Get Set programs, the guide and support learners. So you are often the connector to blended learning and to eChannel. And then, of course, we have our learners that are often coming through our Get Set programs. So you can see how all of these pieces fit together. Let's talk about Module 2. So this module shifts us from clarity to capacity. It's questions like, how do we use eChannel strategically to extend learning without extending our hours? It breaks down what blended learning really means, and it's not half online, half in person. It is not a one size fits all. It's really a thoughtful use of both in-class and online learning that can be flexed and adapted to the learner and also the program, the delivery program. We look at ways to weave eChannel courses into your existing program, especially when learners are waitlisted or they just can't attend regularly. And I love to use this example when we're talking about this module. So often I think programs' first reaction is that they will use blended learning in eChannel the same way all year long. And I know of programs that they actually have different times of the year where they have more capacity to serve in class, in person, and then they have times of year where they actually go on shutdown. And so they lose that capacity to meet learners in person. So a unique way that I've heard some programs use eChannel is they actually transition learners during those shutdown periods. So maybe it's a school board that closes in the summer, or maybe there's a large holiday gap, December to January, and you have eager learners and you don't want them to lose momentum. So you're able to connect with an e-channel provider and they're able to transition onto e-channel and then transition back when you come back in the classroom. So it doesn't have to always be done the same way. And I think that's really important when we start to think about blended learning strategies. You really can think, when do we lack capacity and how can e-channel fit uh, to support increasing our capacity? The benefit of this module is to increase program results without adding to your workload. So this is another screenshot uh, of the module. So you would find, information really about what is blended learning and what could it look like, different examples. And you'll see that if we were in, we would be able to click this and we would be able to watch a video. You don't have to watch a video. The video is there if you click it and you're somebody that likes videos, or if you're someone that likes to read, or you're doing a quick scan for an answer, you'll have that information there. So again, I like to call this a guide because you're able to be really flexible in how you use it. This is another snapshot from the module. So this includes practitioner tips for supporting blended learners. Everything from ensuring that a learner is ready to move into each channel, and that could be anything from tech to motivation to momentum. It talks about clear expectations for when learners should focus on in-class versus online work, helps with that time management piece. It talks about collecting learner consent so that you're able to share assessments, milestones, have regular communication. And that's a key piece that I think practitioners are very concerned about. They are worried that they kind of send a learner off and that maybe they don't have the ability to hear back from e-channel. E-channel providers are ready to have a relationship. They're ready to, if you get the proper intake form signed, they're ready to talk back and forth with you. They're able to share milestones. They're able to share progress. So you're not duplicating the work. You're able to support the momentum of your learner. And that is a really, really cool feature in terms of increasing capacity with the support of eChannel. It talks about what to do in CAMs. And so we actually had a question during a live session, and I'm going to share the answer because I didn't have the answer during the session. So I went, confirmed, and came back, and this is the answer. So if this is CAMs and we are clicking, what should we click off when we're working with an e-channel provider? A Get Set Classroom should not check eChannel. Only eChannel funded programs click eChannel as the delivery method. Both Get Set and eChannel providers should click the blended learning box, and that's why it is in red. So that information will also be on the module. Let's talk about a few pretty cool real world examples. These are highlighted in the module. So this is how programs have used blended learning in eChannel to support capacity. This is Niagara West, a program that I have worked really closely with because I worked in Niagara, and the Learning Hub, so the Anglophone eChannel provider. So this is about learners working online between tutoring sessions. So Niagara West is a community-based program that uses tutors to support learners, and they really wanted to increase the capacity of somebody to access learning between tutoring sessions. So they partnered with a Learning Hub and had learners work online between sessions. It reduced duplication and it sped up milestone completion. Staff reported that learners showed up more confident. They were ready to apply what they had learned online. So really about momentum. and really about honoring the capacity that they had and the capacity of their volunteers. And maybe even allow flexibility when a volunteer tutor goes on vacation. Maybe each channel can step up a bit. Like there's a really good example of knowing that you can shift and meet a learner where they are depending on your needs. Another example is Collège Boreal en Formation à Distance, which is the Francophone provider. So Collège Boreal used Formation à Distance to offer evening classes for working learners. So they were having an interest from people who wanted to learn in the evening because they were working during the day, but they didn't have staff to offer evening classes. So they didn't have to hire anybody. They just needed to collaborate and they connected to be able to do so. So, blended learning, it's really not about doing more, it's about sharing the load. How can you get each channel to step in and share the load? Because when the system works together, learners win and practitioners also breathe easier. They're able to not feel guilty or pushed into hours that maybe they're unable to work so that they have some work-life balance. And this is just a really great example of that. Let's talk about module number 3. Uh, this is everyone's favorite topic, registration. And registration is one of those topics that we hear there's a lot of confusion about. So this module is really about confidence. It's about confidence making referrals without doubling your load. It includes step-by-step walkthroughs of the referral process for each learner. For each provider. And it includes sample forms, checklists, everything you need to feel really supported in the process. So you won't have any more of those like, where did that learner go? Did they get lost in the cracks? No, this is the module that would help you do that. So again, I'm going to refer to it as a guide. If if this was me, this would be the module that I was probably reaching for the most. Maybe I had the link on my desktop because this is probably one that you will repeat. You will go more than once to find information. And it shows how to collaborate but not duplicate. So the benefit is it saves time and it reduces frustration for you and your learner. It's about assessing, referring, confirming, and communicating with the e-channel provider. So again, there's lots of videos. There's clickable links to the e-channel referral guide. There's referral steps at a glance for every provider. Everything from assessing your learner's goals and deciding if they're ready to move on to blended learning, selecting the most appropriate e-channel program based on stream, based on goal path, based on the needs of your learner. It has information about how to refer, so whether you email or submit directly, and it also has information about how to follow up, how to communicate, milestone updates, how to address issues, and how to really be collaborative. So these are just two snapshots of two different providers because I wanted to show you that different providers have different registration and referral processes. So Deaf Learn Now, pretty simple. There's one step, and you can just click here on this link and it will take you there. Or there's always contact information and the website so that you can quickly reach out if you need support. We go to the Francophone program, Formation à Distance, and again, clickable link, register, but you can see that there are 5 steps. So completing a registration form, having a discussion, there's the communication piece right off the bat so that you're able to discuss the needs of your learner and also discuss the needs of your program, how that you can see working together to fit what you're already doing. Completing a diagnostic assessment, selecting courses, and then begin training. So it's all there laid out. It's really about referrals made simple. So just know one learner, one file. You're most likely in somewhat of a case management role when it comes to working with a learner who's also enrolled in eChannel. There are clear points of contact for each provider in this module, and there's confirmation at every step. So when you refer a learner, when they register, when they select courses, and it's all laid out so that it's a simple process when you look at it. Let's move on to the last module, and that is really about inclusion. So making sure that every learner can succeed, and making sure that regardless of tech skills or access or even confidence, that they can find support. So you'll explore digital literacy resources in this module, accessibility tools, and easy strategies to boost learner confidence. Even if you are not a tech expert, even if the practitioner is not a tech expert, you'll leave knowing how to tell if a learner is ready. Because digital literacy, it's really not optional anymore, especially after COVID. We seem to have really escalated how the world connects and also how the world like gets information and registers for different programs. So it's really essential for success. The benefit of this module is to empower every learner to succeed in a digital world. So it does have digital literacy supports. It has tools for accessibility and inclusion, and a lot of those might actually be tools, tips, tricks that you might actually be able to take offline and into a program as well. So they're worth looking at, even from that side. And then the success strategies, how to support your learner to be successful with online learning. So here's a snapshot of the module. Again, lots of like clickable links where things are going to open for you. But what I really like is this section has how to address common learner challenges. And so this challenge number one is access to technology. So we know that some learners are very heavily barriered when it comes to accessing technology. Maybe they don't have the equipment, like a personal computer or a tablet. Maybe they do everything from their smartphone. Maybe internet access is the issue. Maybe they're missing like supporting tech, like a webcam or speakers, a microphone. Maybe they have software, but it's outdated or it doesn't fit with the eChannel provider. Maybe they have shared devices or limited access because they are using public spaces like the library. And I think shared devices is really interesting because as more elementary and secondary schooling goes online, I think that parents who maybe had access to a computer in the day, sometimes they lack that. So I'll give you an example. I live in the north. Right now, buses were canceled. I drove my kids to school, but most people do not in our area. And so most kids are asked to go online in some capacity during the day to check in, complete some work. And if you're a parent that works from home, you're now battling for those devices. And I think that that's something that will become more and more common as more and more learning moves online, not just for adults, but also for children. That's what we're seeing. So those shared devices are something that maybe we didn't have to think about as much before. And these barriers, they can limit and they can also completely block participation in eChannel programming. And they're especially difficult for learners that live in remote or rural areas, or if they come from low income settings where accessing technology, being able to purchase the hardware is a real issue. So we do have a solution. And it's a solution that you can use today. You don't have to wait for the launch of eChannel 101. And I'm going to talk about it on the next slide as I introduce you to some tools that you can use today that are also included in Module 4, which is why I'm going to talk about them now. So practical supports you can use now, the laptop and internet loan program through Contact North. This really is about leveling the playing field for learners. Because learners can borrow laptops and they can borrow Wi-Fi sticks so that they can participate in online courses. So you can refer them directly through Contact North, or a learner can self-refer. So they can Contact North, and they can request the laptop, or the internet stick. And it is one of the fastest ways to make online learning more inclusive and more accessible. So great program. If you have a learner in mind, please send them that way. Another key piece that you could do today that's highlighted in Module 4 is a practitioner audit opportunity with any of the 5 e-channel providers. So this is really about walking in a learner's shoes. I think that this is one of my favorite, highly underutilized tools. And all you do is reach out and say, hey, e-channel provider, I would like to audit a course. And you can choose from several courses. Maybe they can help direct you, or maybe there's something that catches your eye that you'd like to take a look at. It's a great way to understand what learners see, where they might struggle, and what you can reinforce in person. You could even build this into professional development for staff. Maybe you look at a catalog and you say, hey, this program might fit in and increase our capacity. Let's walk through it together and take a look. And so you can brainstorm, talk about it, and see how it might fit. And then the last piece that I'd like to share, something that you can do today. These are guides that are available in PDF form on the eChannel for Practitioners website. So the first one that I would like to talk about is winning strategies for a blended training program. This is really about equipping a learner to take online courses, and it kind of walks you through how to introduce it, how to support a learner, and it has a lot of checklists involved, which I really like checklists, like step by step. Am I doing everything right? It also has a list of antivirus software that can be good not only for your learner, but also for your program. And it has links to them, and it identifies if they're paid or if they're free. So really good, especially if you're supporting someone in online learning using your equipment, then maybe you want to make sure that you've got up-to-date antivirus software. There's also the curriculum outline to support blended learning, and this is a PDF that outlines key digital skills and curriculum areas to support learners before they enter, so to get them ready, as well as during their participation, so that concurrent participation in e-channel programming. And it does include a section on practitioner readiness. So that's why I wanted to recommend this one specifically. So if you're a practitioner that doesn't have the tech confidence, this is where you might want to start. And these are just 2 guides that are available in the resource section on the eChannel website for practitioners. So there are more resources there. I just wanted to flag these as potentials for getting checklists and tools into your program to support blended learning, so that you don't have to recreate or create a new tool from scratch. And here is the eChannel website. So if you were to go right now to www.e-channel.ca, this is what you would see. This is a screenshot. And I like to show this because you can see there's the student website and there's the practitioner website. So you click the practitioner website, you're going to get to those resources, as well as some additional resources. So this is a place that you could go today, and you could find those resources. So we're just about wrapping up, and I just want to kind of make sure that we clear up some myths. So the first one is e-channel replaces face-to-face learning. It absolutely does not. It is a complementary program, not a competing program. That's not to say that a learner could not just be on eChannel, but it really is designed to be able to fit within your program. Only tech-savvy learners can succeed online. Absolutely not true. I've shown you through the modules as well as through the PDFs that I just highlighted with those checklists that you do not have to be tech savvy as a learner or a practitioner, and eChannel is there to support you. The provider is there to support you if there's a gap in technology confidence or in tech skills. They are there to make sure that you can bridge your learner to be successful. And the last one is practitioners can't track milestones if learners use eChannel. This is absolutely not true. So you can have that shared communication and you can share those milestones. Talk about increasing capacity. This is like a key reason for many programs to be able to get on with eChannel so that you can increase the support of learning. So it's really about using blended learning intentionally. These tools, they all connect to real life success stories. Programs that use eChannel to supplement tutoring, they see faster learner progress, fewer missed milestones, less burnout from their practitioners and from their volunteers. It's not about working more. It's about letting systems and resources do some of the work for you. Let eChannel lighten that load. So the next time you have a learner waiting for a class to start, or there's a break in some of your delivery, just consider, could eChannel help fill that gap? 3 things that you could do tomorrow. So, number one would be to refer a learner to eChannel. It's really easy. You can connect with any of the eChannel providers and make a referral. You do not need to wait for eChannel 101 to launch. Who knows? You might actually be watching this when it has already launched, but you can do that today, even if it hasn't. You can audit a course yourself. We've already talked about this as a tool. But I also wanted to highlight that digital literacy is always changing and practitioners need support too. So maybe you want to audit a course so that you can increase some of your knowledge. And there are a lot of digital skill courses for eChannel. So you could audit something that talks about web security or using Google Forms, or, there's just so many options in the catalog. So maybe you want to go on and audit a course that might kind of beef up some of your knowledge. Number 3 is add a blended learning checkbox to your intake form. So one of the easiest ways uh, to speed up connecting a learner with eChannel is to right from the get-go be able to talk to eChannel about that learner. And the best way to do that is to get a learner to sign off when they're signing everything off, when you're doing the first intake, to say, hey, blended learning might be an option. We ask all of our learners if they just would sign off that if you agree in the future that you want to pursue blended learning and I can support you to do that, that it's there and we don't have to go back and fill out a form. So it's really about starting small, staying consistent, and watching your relationship and your capacity grow. No learner left behind. That's really about what eChannel does. It supports and fills in the gaps in the Get Set system that in-class programs just might not have the capacity to fill. So coming soon, eChannel 101 launches early fiscal 2026-27, but you can get support now by going to echannel.ca. Every learner deserves options, and every practitioner deserves support. eChannel, it makes both possible. I want to thank you for the work that you do every day. Your impact reaches further than you realize. I hope that this session helps you feel a little lighter, a little clearer, and a lot more confident about how eChannel fits into your world. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.